Okay, just a few quick words on the Spider-Verse animated movies. So the first one came out in 2018, I believe, Into the Spider-Verse. This was a really outside-of-the-box concept that typically wouldn't be mainstream. This whole idea of the multiverse and all these very, very obscure references and obscure corners of the franchise that wouldn't be given the spotlight previously before. So it's, of course, a delight for fans, I'm sure, who are familiar with all that, but it's also very doable for people like myself who are not familiar with all those niche corners of the comic franchise. A lot of fun. It opens up a whole new world. It even incentivized them, I'm sure, to go forward with the multiverse concept in the MCU. That was really the main plot of Spider-Man No Way Home. And it allows going back to previous entries of iterations of the franchise that you would think are in the past. So anyway, the first one was called Into the Spider-Verse, appropriately. For a time it seemed that the next two movies were going to be Across the Spider-Verse, parts 1 and 2, but that's really bizarre because that would be calling parts 2 and 3 of this trilogy parts 1 and 2. So thankfully they changed the titles, Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, and the next one after this will be Beyond the Spider-Verse, which is very well named. The animation style is very unique. It started a trend of not leaning into what you can do with computers, which is completely fluid computer animation that shows off what computers can do, but leans into the earthy aspects of what you can portray. And in this case, it was made to mimic the look of a poorly printed 4-color comic book. Especially in the case of the first movie. This universe that Miles Morales lives in, this particular version that is, because there are many variants, has those circular dots consistent with that method of printing and the offset colors. So anyway, the first movie was in 3D. It's loved by many. The second movie was kind of surprising coming up to it that it seemed it was not going to be released in 3D. And there was some conflicting messaging on that because by and large it seemed it wasn't. But then there were some listings that popped up in seemingly random areas of the country that looked like 3D showtimes. But when the times actually came, they were in fact apparently mistaken listings. And from the ones that I've seen, it had 3D in the title of the movie, but not in the listing. I'm not confirming that everyone was like that, but that's the one I've seen. So usually when I buy tickets online, it'll show 3D in the details of specific showtimes, but not in the actual title of the movie itself. So that would seem to be an indication of an error. So anyway, now that the film has actually come out, it's been confirmed that there are no 3D showtimes anywhere, which would be disappointing for many 3D fans. I get it. I saw it in Dolby Cinema, and I have to tell you, it's beautiful. 4K HDR makes this film shine. And what about the 3D? Well, honestly, I don't think this was meant to be a 3D movie. And this was confirmed by one of the people behind the scenes. They did reply to a question about it, saying, no, this was never a 3D movie. And why is that? Well, I can't say for sure, but I can tell you that this movie incorporates more animation styles. It's in different universes, and it's not just all that same style that was mostly made up the first one, Into the Spider-Verse. This one also includes many more abstract, artistic ones that look like paintings. The washes of color change from shot to shot to represent moods and things like that. Different elements that in a 3D film would be at different spaces blended together at points, it seemed. So as far as natively rendering in this 3D, I'm not even sure that's would have been possible, because they probably used multiple methods to achieve this look. So it probably wasn't that simple. That was just a straight 3D pipeline that could be instantly rendered in stereoscopic 3D. Could it have been in 3D? Technically, anything can be converted to 3D. I know some people will say otherwise, but I know anything can be converted to 3D and look great. And this is no exception. However, the emphasis there is on converted. So this would have taken a lot of work to make a 3D version, a lot of expense. I think more expense, not only because of the atypical art design, but also because the sheer complexity and number of shots compared to any other movie. I truly believe this has far more variety of visuals than most movies. Things change rapid fire, lots of information pouring through the screen to process. It's enough for a person to process watching it, and for 3D conversion artists that would be much more than the typical investment. I truly believe that. So I can understand why they just would not bother with that for a version of the movie that will, as we know, not be the most viewed version anyway. So while it is disappointing, it is what it is. So if you catch it on premium large format if you can, or wait for the UHD Blu-ray, but UHD is definitely a great way to see it. And if you do see it on a premium large format, see it on a good one, not an old Xenon projection that's faded. I get IMAX makes that super hard, but to kind of guarantee that, you can always just go to Dolby Cinema, and you know you're getting great visuals from the get-go. Alright, see you next time. It's funny, I often start out with just a quick word, and then it's not really a quick word, is it? Never fails.